Hi, my name is Kelvin Newman and welcome to the Brighton SEO podcast, where we share talks from one of the world's most popular search and marketing conferences. The event started out as a few people meeting in an upstairs room of a pub and is now attended by over 3,000 people from all over the world. This episode is a recording of one of the speakers at a recent event.
Olga's going to start by talking to you about Agile marketing, and let's give her a round of applause.
Hello, everyone. I'm just going to get the clicker. I'm really excited that we have just a full room because there were such a nice sessions. I was thinking that we might be not the one that getting the full crowd, but I'm really happy we do. And I'm not going to tell you about the SEO strategy. I'm going to give you ideas on how to work with any team and how to structure it to succeed more. So if you attended a lot of sessions today, and then probably one takeaway that you can have from all of them is that everything, there's constantly new channels. There's you have to adjust as fast as possible, and we all face the challenge of working in a market that is changing because platforms are changing. So that's what happens within within a minute on the web. And then if you have this nice 1-year strategy, then this is not going to work. And then you follow the platforms, you follow the market, and it will change earlier than your marketing execution plan will start. So what happens there? I have a really good analogy now. There is a pressure on the market, and what happens? There are two ways to handle change. So there is an egg and a coffee, and then if you put the egg in a boiling water, that will strengthen the water, will strengthen the egg, but then it might crack. And then what coffee does, it changes the water, so it changes the environment. And then I believe that marketers today should be acting as coffee, because then sticking to what you already are is dangerous, because if you will be sticking to the principles that you feel that you're comfortable with, but they're not in line with what's happening on the web, that's not going to work for you a long time. So you can adapt to change as an egg, or you can actually embrace the change and change the environment with you. And then I'd say that agile marketing is everything about embracing the change. So this is what agile marketing means. That's Agile Marketing Manifest. We have agile marketing at SEMrush in all levels. So we're not flat structure, but we are as close to flat structure as possible. We have agile management, which means that we inspire creativity. We test everything in-house. We work with autonomous teams, and that's what we incorporate that with all the marketing teams we have. What's important here is that actually, adaptive and interactive campaigns over big bang campaigns. That means that with the environment changing tomorrow, then if you have a campaign that's going to be executed in half a year, that might not work for you. So we try to have these small experiments over a few large bets. And then, so we encourage teams to test, and test with small budgets, and something that you would see results short term, and that actually helps them to perform better because they feel that they succeeded. And this saves us budgets and makes us faster than a lot of other companies. What you should do to enable that? First of all, right now, people that, for example, work on social media for you, you would want to empower them. You would want them to take action and take responsibility for every post or for every reply to your customer that happens. So if I would be working in social media, and I would have to verify everything I say. Our response time would be really, really long. And then you would, now customers expect instant answers. And then so what's great is that if you just exclude hierarchy as much as possible and empower your people to make decisions and, talk to customers as much as they can. And companies that are competitors, they can replicate anything, or the know-how could be stolen, but the one thing that cannot be stolen and then can be replicated, that's actually your team. So that's what we try to do as much as possible. So we try to bring talent, or we try to encourage people to be creative, and then we cherish them and then make sure that they have all the responsibility they can get. And marketers love creativity. They like freedom when you give them opportunity to prove themselves, and they need money for it. And then what we've added was just responsibility. So I'm not, as a head of global marketing, I'm not really responsible for the actions of the team. On a day-to-day basis, they do know what to market, but how to market, they decide themselves, and all responsibility of something that happens on the market is totally on them. And that actually, if you commit to something that you created yourself, and then you know that you were responsible for that, this does magic to teams. We have autonomous teams, and a lot of companies that embrace agile marketing, they have autonomous teams. This is the design from Spotify. They have an amazing movie that's like 10 minutes about agile. They also have that in, they have it in development mostly. So that means that, we're like agile marketing teams are here. So there is a leader, and there is a director or head of department that actually says what to do, and then team themselves decide how they're going to do it. And this is the ideal way to structure marketing teams in the environment that is so agile itself. And this doesn't mean chaos. This means that it's more of a directors or managers. They're more acting like serving leaders, inspiring. It's the good analogy would be the football team. So there is a coach, and then there is a team. I'm not the person who kicks the ball. I'm the person who sees the environment, and at the same time, I'm talking to teams about the customer, or about the customers, about the competitors, about the market, and about the trends. But it's their job to go and score. And I think that is that's an amazing analogy from sport that you can apply, so that managers are not actually, they're just empowering, and they're coaches. Step one is that basically you gave that responsibility to your team. Like, how do you structure work? Because it can be chaos really easily. There are three main workflows in Agile. So that's Scrum, Kanban, and then that's a mix. So Kanban is pretty, it's pretty easy. There's to do, in progress, and done. And then so there's a backlog of ideas, and then you prioritize them, you work on them, and then you put them to done, and then other tasks, they just go up. What we've tested was Scrum. And Scrum is heavily going from development, but it actually can even, I've read the book about Scrum, and it was, even one guy tested it when he built the house. So all of the team, builders, they were gathering every day and then just updating each other on what they were doing, and then he was able to do that within 6 weeks. How Scrum works is that there is a backlog of ideas, of brainstorming, then there is planning. So you sit with the team for 3 hours, and then brainstorm, and then have a plan. Then there are daily stand-ups of the team, and the team actually is only 6-7 people maximum, because that's the team that can respond as fast as possible. And what they do daily and what we do daily, then we say, okay, that's what we did yesterday, that's what we do today, and that's what are there any setbacks? And that actually is done not just for reporting what I do, but then finding ways to optimize every task, and then do that in as limited time as possible. And then, so it's like 2 or 4 weeks, then there is review, and then there is retrospective. Retrospective does magic. Because there we say thank yous to the team leaders, with team members, and then discuss what was great, and then we discuss what was not great. And then team votes on the 3 important issues that they have to tackle, and they tackle it in the next sprint. So it's always an ongoing improvement process that drives the teams to get forward. What we tested was like 3 versus 2 week sprints for marketing. For development, that's 2 weeks. But for marketing, some teams that create content, 2 weeks is not enough. So that's what we use mostly, 3 weeks. Again, the team defines how they do it. We have a release, like we have a site audit update, and then they know what they have, like what is the topic, and then they decide what channels they use, how they achieve the targets, and this actually empowers creativity insanely. And yeah, then retrospectives and then planning looks like this. This is like, we use pen, paper, post-it notes. This is an amazing way to actually to work. And then when the task is done, we just rip the paper off and be done with it. And then we also, the tools that you can use for management, they're pretty, they're nothing new there. Trello, Asana, or Todoist. What to do next? The step that once you organize the team that way, then you create the backlog of ideas, and then you encourage them to do small experiments with smaller budgets so they can see what works and what's not. And what happens after that? I will be sharing real cases. There are some, like when a lot of companies embrace agile marketing, and they're small and big ones. The example of a big one, that's Australian chain of pharmacies, and pharmacies doesn't really strike you as a company who would really be front runners in optimizing, especially the big one. They have 300 pharmacies all over Australia, and what they did is that they stopped ordering visuals from agency, and they brought the team in-house. They decided they will put the SurveyMonkey form on every email they do, on everything they do. And then also they switched to cheaper email client that also saved money. And they encouraged their teams to create emails themselves. And also think of a buyer's journey. So that all seems really simple, but the results are extraordinary. So they got everything done faster, and actually they saved really a lot of money. And on top of that, the loyalty program improved because they constantly were getting the feedback. So this is example of a real example of a really huge company that embracing the agile marketing, and they still do it. And what CMO shared is that actually this also improved their positioning, because we're working in a smaller team that are coordinated and communicating with each other. They actually, by these small experiments, they're able to understand what works and where they are stronger, rather than just having a big campaign that took a long time, but might not be applicable to the market at the state where it was released. Buffer is another example of a company that, well, they have Agile in development, and they call, well, what they have in marketing, it's not exactly Agile, but they call it transparency, well, transparency culture, and they also have, and they encourage responsibility and then self-development. So they have a distributed team worldwide, which actually helps them win in the time zones. And on top of that, they empower people to act as fast as possible. And they incorporated this customer feedback early on in their development stage. And then you see that whenever they have the idea, the second thing they do is that they ask feedback. So it doesn't go to development further unless they get this feedback. This is really easy. You can use social media for that, or you can incorporate the SurveyMonkey forum, or we have user voice for that. So we use every channel we can to get the feedback, and Buffer does the same. And if you do that internally, for example, then, if you have that culture of self-development, of encouraging responsibility, and then, this just creates happiness and transparency, this is an amazing example how the culture of this, Agile and transparency brought something great to the marketing. Buffer has open salaries, and they also have open costs. And they keep publishing that, and then so basically this is a marketing that they did. This is how they the plan is $10, I think, and then they just showed what it goes to, like what department. And then this is a great example how something you do internally, or how you structure the company, and then if you encourage transparency and happiness and responsibility, then eventually it brings something like this idea of showing the cost of your product that is actually a marketing campaign. And that it helped open salaries and open cost structure. It helped them generate also more job applications, as well as a lot more customers. And then also some examples from SEMrush, the company I work for. So then we have a struggle. We are really local. We speak the languages. So we have German team speaking fluent German, French team, Italian team. And then also I was leading the team that worked with the rest of the world. And then one of our primary markets was Australia. And I was thinking, okay, how can we be local without being local? And we did a small experiment that basically cost us $200 per event. We did pizza time in Australia, which actually was we encouraged agencies to fill out the form and apply for an event where we order pizza to their office, and then we all plug at the same time, eating pizza and just chatting, and then stream that to Facebook. And then so we woke up, and then we were doing that at 7 a.m. Weekly, I think. It was a really funny, cozy experiment that just brought us actually closer to the community. We discovered the people, we talked to our clients or to experts, and it was something it was pretty cheap, and then we got a lot out of that. We stopped with this because it's really hard to wake up and then go to work at 5 a.m. every week, and still we got some people from it, but it was just an experiment, and it was successful, and it cost us almost nothing. Also, the second experiment was, Game of Thrones were going out, and then we have a keyword tool, and then we decided that we added the Dothraki keyword database, and it was just nothing that we really pushed through as a marketing campaign, but it was just something that fitted our audience, because our audience is nerdy, they like that stuff. And then it was also just an experiment, cost us nothing. It was just the team came up with it themselves, they collected that themselves, and we got pretty good response. It was the traffic to that tool increased, I think, by 50%. And also, there's the last example is Twitter chat that we have, It's been running for 3 years now, and it was done by me early in the days, where I thought that, okay, I might not be a good moderator if we do something like Hangouts, but my writing skills are quite okay. And then I was thinking, how can I apply my strengths as a marketer and then do something great for SEMrush? So I thought, okay, that's writing, I have to do social media and I have to type. Then I want as many people as possible, and then I want to actually also target different markets and then be specific with it. And then Twitter just fitted perfectly, and now, for already 3 years, we've been running the chat, and then we've adjusted that as much as possible, which also cost us nothing, and then it was just idea from the person. It was not, I was just said, okay, we need to create the community, and then I just solved that way. And that's what that brings us. So that's also something that this like 500,000 users were achieved in 8 months, and that comes from all the markets, and that's only because teams are they're motivated by themselves just to push further. There are some challenges, and then hiring mistakes can cost you, well, they're really costly with such responsibility given to the team. So proactive members, they sometimes really struggle with those ones who are not motivated enough. And the hiring is just really, really tough, because we need proactive people who are creative, who are good team members, and who can handle responsibility. But I believe that those people are the ones who would be not just spending 9 hours every day just for going and doing something they love, but those people will stick to you because they are for this 9 hours doing something they really enjoy. And then with firing, autonomous team mean that people have to give negative feedback, and they have to fire their peers being really equal. So also, like, for example, I don't really fire people. I go to the team, and the team is responsible for the results, and the team actually has to let go a person if they don't really want that. So this is a really tough thing to do, to give some feedback, and it's negative as a part of the team. But when it happens, that's magical, because people really think that they can make a change. So giving your team freedom to create just can really, really, really do magic, and then also giving them responsibilities can finalize this. And happy, motivated people create awesome things, because they love what they do. Also, when I created something, I committed to this, I'm bound to finish that. I can't be more motivated if it was me who came up with the idea. And then what's other beautiful thing is that natural leaders, this culture, or the agile marketing, that brings out these natural leaders. I had a boss, and then I had a fantastic boss, but this culture of the teams, well, I'm a perfect example of this. Like, I came to SEMrush, we had the structure, but then once we moved to Agile, then I formed my team instantly, because people were ready to follow me, not because they needed, but because they wanted to. So you might have people in the team that are capable of leading people, but the system just doesn't allow it. I keep seeing this message on the web from time to time, and then I was like, and the first I thought, yeah, that's true, and I was, but then I thought that you can do epic shit. But they're not basic people. They're basically just basic rules that block their creativity. And then if you give that creativity, and then you empower people to create things, then awesome stuff will come. Thank you so much.
This was originally recorded at a Brighton SEO conference. If you want to listen to more episodes or find out about the conference itself, you can do at brightonseo.com.